Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cannonfodder. Welcome to the GameBlot. We're playing some more Rise of Industry today, and turns out I made a bit of a mistake. I forgot to set up the final bit on my third textile factory here. I hadn't been sending any of it out to the hardware store in Whiskale, and as a result we had a bit of a backup, which was actually, it was okay for us because it meant that we had a lot of fabric to throw at the store. That did mean that we did make a decent amount of money there, but as such, production has now slowed down just a little bit. And I've discovered that we may in fact actually need a third dye factory. These ones, while they have a lot of resources, do run a little bit slower than our fabric factories would like. They run every 12.5 days, whereas our factories for fabrics pump out one unit of fabric every 10 days, so we actually need a third dye factory there, which we'll be able to set up as soon as we have unlocked our third destination slot, which should be happening fairly soon. I've noticed we've got another point here, which actually turns out to be in our farming area. So, that was not what I was expecting. I was actually thinking it was in our logistics, and I was all excited for it. We're going to spend the point anyway. So, just wondering, what can we do immediately? We can do two things. We can actually unlock cocoa fields and sugarcane fields, or we can just unlock vegetables and hops. Now, it depends. Do we build the buildings immediately, or do we wait just a bit? Let's click on our farmer's market. It's worth noting that you can actually click just on the map on the buildings themselves anyway. Alright, so sugar sells for $3,000. Cocoa doesn't sell at all because they don't want it. And vegetables sell for $2,000. We need to spend the point anyway because we need to start unlocking orchards so we can start making things like our apples and our apple ciders. Now, I'm thinking we're going to put it into our plantation. We're going to unlock our cocoa fields and our sugarcane fields. We're not going to build any of them just yet. It's not something that I find is worth spending money on. At the minute you unlock something, you don't need to go out and build it immediately. A lot of this game is just waiting, letting your resources build slowly over time, generating enough cash flow so you can actually build more of your chosen industry. Alright, so right now we're having problems. I would assume it's because the destination for its material, which is, yeah. So let's pause again. Let's check out our production alerts. Storage is full for our Fisher farm. That's okay. There's nothing we can do there. And our destination storage is full for our plantation. The destination for our plantation currently is the second. Yeah. So now's a good time to set up a second destination for this one. And we'll send this out to our hardware store in Whiskale, so any excess that can't be stashed in our fabric factory will go into our town. And let's set that up for our second cotton farm as well, because at some stage just know that they're going to have the same issue. Right, and we'll dismiss that. So, and it'll start sending out the cotton out to here, which is just a little bit more money for us. Let's click on our hardware store. Cotton sells for $3,349. Plantation at our berry farm is also full. Destination for you is our dye factory, but there's not a lot that we can do about that because nobody wants our berries. So we're going to turn the alert off because that's, yeah. And water siphon destination storage is full, and those are the two dye factories. Oh, sorry. Cotton in the dye factory like nearby. That's going to be fine. We'll have to turn this one off as well. I'm going to turn off all the alerts from our water siphons because there's not a whole lot we can do about that. But we are making a decent bit of profit. Last month you can see there, 156,000. This month is outstripped it by a lot because we've actually, in this month, started selling our cotton as well. Alright, let's let the game run a little bit further. I did have a bit of a think about what we were going to be doing with when we transitioned into making liqueurs, and we're definitely going to start with probably our ciders as well as our barley whiskies. Our brandies and our wines are going to have to wait for later. Our beer will have to wait until we've actually unlocked our carpentry building. Chocolate liqueur, again, is something that can be relatively easily done, particularly now that we've got our cocoa. But you'll notice that these all are made in a brewery and distillery building, which is still a fair way away. So we'll have to stick with our textiles for a little bit longer. We may actually end up selling our glass as well, selling our sand, selling the glass that we get from our sand, and then maybe even having to sell our bottles as well as our glassware, possibly some other stuff in the meantime while we wait for the points to generate before we can actually unlock our brewery and distillery. We'll probably end up making our cider first of all. But as you can tell, our points are generating very slowly, some a little bit faster than others. So we've got our 3 water siphons, they are generating some R&D points here for us. Our farms generating, we've already spent 1 point in here as well, so we know that they're generating points very quickly. Our textile factories are going to take a little bit longer to generate points, but they do have a shorter distance to go, and our logistics are almost done. So let's pause and just let that happen. Oh, we've got an R&D point, which is actually going to help us. So we're going to unlock another dispatch slot on every building, and that will allow us to lessen the amount of money that we're spending on buildings. Each water siphon can now send water out to 3 different locations. So this one here, water siphon 1, will not just be able to send our water out to our first cotton farm and our first berry farm, we'll also be able to send it to our dye factory, which is something that we're going to do. So dye factory number 1, 1 truck. Now, who else is sending water to dye factory number 1? Water siphon number 3, I believe. Yep. Doesn't need it anymore. Alright, these guys, this is a little bit far away from plantation number 4, so we're going to actually use our 4th water siphon over here, and we're going to send some of his water out to our berry farm. Cool, so that is our cotton number 3 taken care of, our 4th dye factory taken care of, and our 4th plantation taken care of. Our fabric factories don't need any water, they only require the dye, and as such, we've got everything covered. We can turn him off. He won't be costing us any money. And that makes our building upkeep just a little bit cheaper, which is what we want, because it's all about refining the process that you have in place to make you more money. So as you can see, our building upkeep went down by 1,000. Instead of spending 98,000, we spent 97. And our vehicle upkeep should be less as well, because we're not using the trucks from that other water siphon either. So that should be considerably lessened too. Now, in the meantime, our town has grown. We click on our town hall. We've actually picked up a 4th building, the diner. This unlocks a whole nother avenue of things for us to manufacture and make. Unfortunately, we can't. This requires us to have a food factory. Preservation factories, yes, which we don't have access to yet. So let's look under our tech tree. Here under industry, there's our food factory, there's our preservation factory. We need to spend 2 more points here. So we'll be unlocking probably some more textiles, depending on what is made available to us when our town grows again, our glasswork smelter, and our carpentry center. We need the wooden barrels, we need glass, and by extension we need our bottles. Now we've picked up another point somewhere, so let's go hunting. It's under gathering. Hey, bonuses. Right. Now, we could unlock the ability for us to have more harvesters, which will harvest our resources faster, but we won't do that. There's not really any need. Our buildings seem to be keeping up just fine. Let's unlock our sand collector. This is one step of many that we need to take to start producing glass and glass bottles and a few other bits and pieces that we will need to start generating our liqueurs. Now, I could just follow the textiles down the rabbit hole and continue to make that kinds of those resources. So let's actually look at that right now as well. Textile factory. So we're currently making dyes and fabrics. These are pretty good. Fabrics actually is a starting resource for a lot of other things. So our summer clothes just require straight up fabrics. They sell for a fair bit. We can also make outdoor clothes, but that requires us to have rubber at a petrochemical plant, which requires oil and gas, which if we look here under our region resources, we don't have any of here, so we would have to unlock another region. We've got oil here. And I'm just going to do a quick hunt for gas. It doesn't look like we've got any, and I apologize for any screen tearing that's happening right now. Okay, so we've got gas over here. We've got oil in this region as well. We'll have to buy... we'd have to go into another town and buy ourselves another full build permit. And then we would have to ship those resources out to Whiskale, which will require us to buy logistics permits in another region, I reckon. I would assume, yeah. So we have to ship it down through here. We have to go across here. We have to build a buy a permit in Easterly. That would unlock some more regions for us to be able to sell at, but it's not something we would be spending money on right now. Shipping those resources would actually cost a fair amount. We've got another point. It's another farming point. All right, now we unlock our crop farm. Again, we're not going to build anything just yet. We do want to unlock our wheat, and then we'll go and unlock our orchards. But we've unlocked our mastery, as it were. It has decreased our farm upkeep, which is nice. Has increased our storage capacity, which means it'll be a little bit longer before they tell us that the destination or this actual storage is full. Our production speed has gone up. Our initial build cost of fields and our farms has gone down as well, so that's nice. But that's all we've got time for in this particular episode. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.